Okay, there's something fishy about Donald Trump. Remember how the guy was being promoted by WikiLeaks, Julian Assange? How the mainstream media was very blatantly biased against him and very pro Hillary Clinton? And how WikiLeaks was releasing documentation about Hillary Clinton's ties to what's the spirit cooking and the molestation of children, etc. I mean, we all know those things are true, but you don't need WikiLeaks to tell this to you. This is fishy because remember the purpose WikiLeaks served before Trump? What purpose did WikiLeaks serve? WikiLeaks was a very pro-establishment source of information. WikiLeaks was very much in favor of America, very much against the likes of Russia and anyone who would oppose the kind of things that the US government would be trying to do in certain countries. For example, WikiLeaks was instrumental in the Arab Spring, right? That event which eventually led to the toppling of Muammar Gaddafi. If it wasn't for WikiLeaks, that never would have happened. WikiLeaks caused an uprising throughout Africa, and the United States government didn't give a fuck until it arrived in Syria. As soon as it got to Syria, then, oh man, we got to get rid of Gaddafi, you know, we got to kill him. Come on, that's ridiculous, that's absurd. How is it that WikiLeaks is going to go from being very pro-establishment to suddenly turning against them and favoring Donald Trump? That doesn't just happen. Now, it's very possible that Julian Assange has turned around and bitten the hand that was feeding him. It's very possible that the guys just realized, wait a minute, these guys are just full of shit. They are so evil. They are so maniacal. It's very possible that Julian Assange decided to just turn his back against the establishment. But what are the chances of that? And if you consider the fact that WikiLeaks was a CIA hangout, I mean, we have all the evidence in support of this. Look also at the mainstream media's coverage of this. The mainstream media did, in fact, cover WikiLeaks. They did, in fact, cover some of the things that WikiLeaks was putting out against Hillary Clinton. They covered a lot of it, in fact. Of course, they covered it trying to say, oh, it's a bunch of bullshit, it's not true. But why would they cover it in the first place? Whenever someone comes out saying something that is true, for example, Charlotte Iserbyt. I mean, Charlotte Iserbyt was the senior policy advisor in the Office of Education, Research and Improvement, right, for the U.S. Department of Education. And she came out saying that there is a deliberate dumbing down of the American population via the school system, implemented by the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Foundation. Now, I have a lot of things to say about this kind of thing. I'll release another video on that, but I mean, there's just so much to say, so much that I know that other people just don't fucking know. There's so much to say about this kind of thing. So much information about this that is just not out there. Information that you won't find anywhere else. Only I can give it to you. And there's a reason only I can give it to you. But we'll get into that later. Anyways, Charlotte Iserbyt came out exposing this kind of stuff. The mainstream media didn't cover a fucking bit of it. Not a goddamn word. Look at the likes of, look at the likes of Aaron Rousseau, an American film producer who came out exposing the fact that the Rockefeller family approached him and asked him to start dumbing down his films and inserting very subtle psychological manipulative tactics to turn people into morons. He came out, I mean, this guy was a famous film producer. He came out exposing this. Again, mainstream media didn't say a fucking thing. So it's a fact that as soon as people are releasing certain kinds of information that is true, the mainstream media is never going to cover it. Look, once you cover something, once you talk about it, people know about it. It becomes something that people are aware of. The mainstream media is going to make sure nobody is ever made aware of things like the deliberate dumbing down of America, right? The title of Charlotte Iserbyt's book, for example. But they made sure to cover WikiLeaks and the kind of things that WikiLeaks was putting out. In addition, one has to realize that WikiLeaks was releasing information that was not clear-cut. There's the truth, there's bullshit, and there's something in the middle. WikiLeaks, a lot of the time, was producing something in the middle. For example, when talking about 9/11, what did WikiLeaks say about 9/11? What did WikiLeaks say about 9/11 which differed from what Snowden might have said? Edward Snowden as well was just another fraud. We know this. The mainstream media is never going to cover somebody if what he is saying is groundbreaking, is true, is really going to wake people up. Edward Snowden didn't come out saying anything of significance. What Edward Snowden was doing was talking against what? He was talking against Apple and Microsoft. And there's a reason he was talking against Apple and Microsoft. I'll get into that in another video. He wasn't just saying these things because they were true and he was trying to dethrone people here. I mean, come on. The guy was on the cover of fucking Time magazine. The guy was on Time magazine. You really think Time magazine is going to be putting important truth speakers on their platform? Come on, it's never going to happen. So anyways, they were covering WikiLeaks. They were covering a lot of things that WikiLeaks was saying against Hillary Clinton. And a lot of the things that Trump was saying were just being put out there. So there's something about the Trump administration that is not right. It's not that Trump is a fraud or a fake, because a lot of the things that he said were very anti-establishment. He's said things that were, I mean, things that we know the establishment wouldn't want to be put out there. I mean, Trump has done a few good things. He's done some pretty good things. He's pulled the U.S. out of the Paris climate deal. And the Paris climate deal was just an excuse to unite the world through the green movement. That's all it is, all right? Through the UN, which has replaced the now defunct League of Nations. So Trump has done and said some things that nobody else would have said if they were not entirely anti-establishment. However, Trump has also done some things that were somewhat questionable. For example, the recent bombing in Syria. Why exactly did he do that? We don't know. But looking at this from the perspective of an unbiased observer, it is apparent that a narrative has been sold to the public. So hey, we'll see exactly what unfolds as far as Trump's presidency is concerned. But I suspect some things are coming, and people aren't going to see them coming when they do. Anyway, if you like this video, like it, share it, comment, subscribe. Cheers.